Don't let a DUI charge ruin your life. Get a professional and confidential evaluation from our experienced team at True Heights Treatment. Our evaluations are accepted by the majority of courts in the state of Illinois and provide a comprehensive assessment of your substance use patterns and potential treatment needs. Get the help you need today and start your path to a brighter future. Contact us now to schedule your evaluation at 708-248-7039 or at thtdui.com.
The George Brassey Podcast is made possible with funding provided from Brassey Global Strategies, LLC, a leading political consulting, public policy, government affairs, and research firm. Are you interested in running for elected office? Need advice? Call or email George, 708-769-5015. Brassey Global Strategies 1 at gmail.com.
I'm so glad to welcome Mayor Ken Peterson from the village of Steger to the George Brassey Podcast. Mayor Peterson, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, George. Thanks for.
It's great to have you. Mayor, before we get into your career as an elected official, tell the audience a little bit about your backstory. Where did you grow up? What do you do for a living? And how did that lead to running for trustee and then mayor?
So I'm actually born and raised in Steger. Lived here for most of my life. I did go to Indiana for a little bit. School, I kind of stayed out there. I went to Purdue University undergrad, got a political science degree. And then I went to law school at Indiana University. And after graduating law school, I joined a law firm that primarily focused on municipal finance. And so I started working in the municipal area, helping different governments borrow money and finance their capital needs. I moved back to Steger in 1998. And after a couple of years living here, I knew the mayor at that time, Mayor Lou Sherman. He was the mayor when I was a kid growing up and was still mayor when I came back. Was one of the longest serving mayors in the state of Illinois. And he had a problem with his police and fire board. So knowing me as a kid, knowing that I was now a lawyer, he came to me and asked if I would become the chairman of his police and fire board to help him through that particular issue. So I joined the police and fire board. After a couple of years, everything was great, and an election was coming up, so he asked me to run as trustee. And so after a lot of thought and seeing how much my community gave to me, I felt I needed to give back to my community, so I ran as trustee, and that's how I started my political career.
What did you learn from the previous mayor who served one of the longest terms in the state of Illinois' history?
He taught me a lot. He taught me that residents are important. Everyone has value. You have to really care about the community. Put yourself before your interest before, or not before. I'm sorry, not put your interest before the community. The community's got to come first, and really serve as a public servant. And he had a great vision of keeping this community, strong. Everyone in this community is very tight knit, and it's just amazing the residents we have, and he really, really cared. So if you had an issue, he would really take the time to solve that issue for you, and he really taught me how to deal with all the particular problems all at once, because you can't really be focused on one thing. There's many issues at once, and you have to balance them all.
You mentioned a background in municipal finance. Do you have any thoughts about the issues that municipalities have to face in managing police and fire pensions?
That's a tough one, because the problem is local, right? So we have the liabilities that we have to fund, but the control is at the state. So the state determines what those liabilities are, and we really don't have a solution today to solve that particular issue. The solution has to come from Springfield, and that's from my perspective, that's one of the biggest issues that we face, because we're trying to solve it from a local perspective, but you can't do it without the state. and there's no really direction from the state on how they're planning on doing that. And until there is, we're going to continue to struggle. And we're very limited on our revenue sources. They cap us on real estate if you're not home rule. And they also dictate like what percentages we're going to get from income taxes or sales taxes, other shared revenues. And there's a constant discussions down in Springfield about changing those allocations to municipality and taking it away from us to allocate more towards the state. But from my perspective, that can't be the solution. You can't take away from local government. We are already very limited, and you have to come up with a better long-term solution on how we're going to fix that problem. Until we do, our local municipalities are going to continue to struggle.
So I'm guessing that the village of Steger is not a home rule community.
We are not a home rule community. That is correct.
What are your thoughts?
Go ahead.
What are your thoughts on the village not being a home rule community?
Well, I think it's very limiting for us. I wish we were a home rule community. I know there is a deep concern among residents that if you become home rule, you are now not subject to the limitation on raising taxes. And so, a lot of people are against home rule just because of that, without focusing on what kind of control we can get if we were home rule. We could deal with a lot of issues locally, but now we have to rely on the state to try to deal with those particular issues. And I think that we're at a disadvantage because of it.
Parts of Steger are in Will County, parts are in Cook County. How does that complicate your job as mayor?
It can be complicated because, certain things only affect one county. For instance, certain tax incentives like Class 8, Class 6B, things like that from a real estate perspective, you can only get in Cook County. You can't offer those incentives in Will County. But it's all, another issue is just the way, the assessments work. Many times one county gets assessed before the other county, so there's a mismatch, and people kind of focus on that. But there's a lot of benefits too, because we can tap into two different counties when we do have particular needs. In June of 2019, we had a horrific rainstorm. It just flooded our community. Many homes were underwater, many homes were damaged, and we got help from both Will County and Cook County, and that was very beneficial for us. So it's a curse and a blessing at the same time.
Since you've been mayor, what are some of your goals for the future?
Well, I definitely want to continue to work on our economic development. I think we've done a good job bringing in different businesses, but I really want to change our downtown area and make it more of a true downtown area. Right now, it's just very driven by traffic, and there's really no uniformity. And so we're continuing to work on that to try to transform it. I also want to kind of develop out by 394. I think that is an economic engine for us if we can get the right businesses to locate in that particular area. And then we have infrastructure problem like everybody else in this area. We have old infrastructure, and whether it's water, drainage, roads. And so we're continuing to work on capital plans to fix those particular problems. And I hope that we can do it quickly. Right now, we're more focused on drainage. That's our top priority because unless we fix the drainage, some of the other capital improvements, like you can go ahead and fix a road, but if you don't fix the drainage and there's water that continues to flood that road, it's just going to rip it up. In a couple of years, you're back trying to fix that road again. So first and foremost, I think we have to get rid of the water that comes into the community through rainstorms. And once we fix that problem, then we can go ahead and fix the other ones too.
Does the village have well water? Where does the village get its water from for drinking?
So the village does have well water, and there's a constant debate in our community as to whether we should change that source of water. And we continue to look at that. One of the issues, though, is no matter what the water source is, if the infrastructure isn't improved, then we can bring in, Lake Michigan water, Kankakee water. I know Park Forest has talked about bringing water over here. We could bring in a different water source, but if we're continuing to put it in pipes that have, rust and corrosion and pressure issues, then we're really not going to fix that problem. We're just going to put good water into a bad infrastructure, and it's still going to come out with issues at the resident's home.
Got it. So tell the audience a little bit about the issue that causes for you. If you have well water outside of the corrosion, what kind of problems does that cause for the municipality?
Well, really, it's a hard water source, so there's a lot of calcium limestone deposits in it. So, you know, folks have to constantly use chemicals to try to clean those out to keep their sinks clean, their tubs clean. Um, we do have a lot of iron in our water too. So if we do flush our water in a particular, we have a lot of that iron coming out. And so you can't wash your clothes that day. So we have to kind of inform our residents, hey, we're going to be flushing in your area. So don't wash your clothes on that particular day, or maybe the day after as well, just to let it kind of settle down again. So that, it's dealing with it in the resident's home is really the issue. From an infrastructure perspective, it just continues to kind of put corrosion into your system as well. So we have to monitor that.
Got it. Mayor Peterson, what do you think people get wrong about the village of Steger?
I think that I hear people talk about the village sometimes, and they'll mention that there's really not a lot going on in Steger, and I think that's really a big misunderstanding, because I think we have a lot of things going on, and our village is very rich from both programs perspective to our community and our residents. I think our residents are great, but like, we have strong programs for kids. We have t-ball, baseball, football, volleyball, basketball. Those are all to me premier programs. Many kids who are in those programs go on to play for high school, college. Some have gone on to play professional sports. We also have great scout programs. We have strong Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops in our community, and they provide a lot for our kids who may not be focused on sports. They want a more outdoor kind of experience. We also, I think, have some of the greatest restaurants in our community. I think that, if you want good food, you can come to Steger and experience that. I also think that, we also have some hidden gems like the Bloom Trail Theater Troupe. They put on 2 productions a year. Hopefully they'll be able to do it in light of COVID. But if those productions are going back on, I suggest that people go out there and go to their programs, because they're some of the best theater that you'll see, in my opinion. It's great seeing those kids put on those programs. And I also think that, Steger was built around a piano factory, so our history is in music, but we still have a lot of depth and a lot of talent in our community in the music industry. So you can come to some of our whether it's Austin Community Tavern, which puts on some great music, to we have events going on, and you'll see some great music with those events as well. We really have a lot of talent, and I think that that connection to the music industry is still there. And so I just think there's a lot you have to understand what's going on in Steger. We're actually celebrating our 125th anniversary this year. So we turn 125 in December, and we're putting on an event August 20th, 21st, and 22nd. So I suggest everyone come on out and learn more about what we're about.
Well, happy birthday to the village of Steger. You mentioned a piano factory. Can you briefly tell the audience a little bit about the history of that in
Sure.
Steger?
Yeah. So Valentine Steger came from Germany, and he built a piano factory in the area where our old Kmart used to be. So Chicago Road and Steger Road. There actually was 3 buildings there. And at the time, it was considered the top piano in the world. And the Vatican actually would only take pianos from Steger. There still is a Steger piano in the Vatican, I understand. And it was our driving force. It was our economic engine. And we continued to produce pianos for many years until Mr. Steger passed, and then son took over, and then the piano factory ran into financial difficulty, ended up closing. But that's how Steger was built, and that's why we have our name Steger.
Wow, such an interesting history. Tell the audience a little bit about your political organization, United for Action.
Yeah, so we, we definitely care about our community. We continue. This is the organization that Lou Sherman actually established, and we continue that organization. So it's been around for a long time, and we're actually very inclusive. We actually have some of our opponents who ran against us are now part of our organization. We're always looking for people who really care about our community and want to do the right thing for our community. That's how you become part of our organization, is that you just have your heart in the right place and you want to do something better for the Village of Steger, and we welcome all.
Mayor Peterson, what are 2 books that you would recommend to the audience that have been influential to you as a person, and why?
Well, I particularly like this book, Fixing Broken Windows, and it's really about crime and how it affects a community, and how if you have a house with a broken window and you don't fix it, that can start to spread. And I think what I like about that particular book is it really shows that, first of all, you have to focus on the details, but second of all, crime is complex, and urban issues are complex, and it's really things that you might not know contribute to the problem. You have to kind of try to figure it out and focus on it. But once you start fixing the underlying issues, then everything kind of falls into place. And I think that's an important lesson from that book.
Do you have another one that you would recommend?
Well, I like Founding Fathers as well. That's a book it's Founding Brothers by Joseph Ellis. That book I like just because it's a lot of history about how our country was formed and the philosophy of the Constitution, and really the framework that we still use today to run our country.
Mayor Peterson, where can the audience find you on the internet if they want to learn more about you or the Village of Steger?
Well, we do have our United for Action website, and we also I'm on Facebook, and you can also just reach out if you needed to talk to me at thevillageofsteger.org.
Mayor Peterson, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Help George stay on the Chicago Heights City Council. Go and donate today at tinyurl.com/AldermanGeorge2023.
Begin to transform your life and work towards inner peace with expert psychotherapy. At True Heights Treatment, our experienced therapists provide personalized, compassionate care to help you overcome life's challenges and reach your goals. Whether you're struggling with depression, anxiety, relationship issues, or other mental health concerns, our team is here to support you. With a warm and welcoming in-person and virtual office atmosphere and a commitment to person-centered and evidence-based treatments, we are dedicated to helping you address your life's challenges. Contact us now to schedule your first session at 708-248-7039 or online at trueheightstx.com. Book your appointment today and start your journey towards a happier, healthier life.
Need more George? Like his pages on Facebook. Friends of George Brassey PAC, 5th Ward Business Alliance, Chicago Heights Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center, and the George Brassey Podcast.